So I'm now on low carbs. I'm going to do 2 days of low carbs followed by 1 day of normal carbs and then back to 2 days and 1 day, and I'm just going to keep doing that now. I've had a bad 2 days of eating, some good food, some bad. It was May's birthday, a family came over, so we were out and about around the city, things like that. So that's that, and obviously May had a birthday meal, so I wanted to enjoy that. But that's okay, it's not going to throw the whole thing off. But only 2 weeks left now. And then that's it of the 8 weeks. I'm still going to diet steadily after that to a certain level, but just not as strict. The cardio I'm going to do now is I'm going to stick with HIIT incline sprints instead. So I put the incline up, it's about, I don't know, it's about this much, say. And what I'm doing is 30 seconds of running uphill and then 30 seconds of resting by standing on the sides. And I'm really finding the cardio of that is exhausting me. But because the pace is slower, because you're having to slug it uphill, so you're still going fast, but you're not sprinting all out because you can't really do that uphill. So I'm finding that it's exhausting me, but it's not knackering my joints as much and my leg muscles as much the next day. Which is good because I'm finding it's more of a cardio, fat burning based thing. So I'm able to get more of those in now, so I'm going to try and do those most days, maybe every other day. And then in between that I'm just going to do the fast walking or maybe a walk on an incline to burn extra fat. And then that along with the low carb days and stuff, I'm hoping will make some real good final progress in the last 2 weeks. But it had me thinking, like, what can I do to step this up now? And then I thought, like, you know, when you hit a wall in fat loss, which I haven't hit a wall. It's purely now because I'm coming towards the end, I want to just step it up a notch. And I'm going to talk now, after I've had my food, about things that you can do when you hit a wall, when you hit a fat loss wall. I'm going to eat my food and then we'll do that. Right then. So when you hit a wall with fat loss, or at least when you think you do, 2 main areas to look at. Your diet, your nutrition, and your workouts. Let's talk about the workouts. Loads of things come into play when you're talking about your workouts and things you could change. An obvious one, first thing comes to mind, your rest time. Your rest time between exercises, between sets. So you could take all your workouts, all the exercises that you normally do. So say for chest you're doing bench press and dumbbell press and flies and cable flies. You could take all those and instead of separating them and doing them all individually, you could circuit them all. Or you can just completely just go from one, as soon as you finish your last bench press exercise, be ready to go straight onto your dumbbell exercise and join the last set of the exercise before with the first set of the other one. And just up the intensity a little bit there. Or just drop your rest times between the sets. Don't sit there for 1 minute, 2 minutes. Or if you're already sitting there for 30 seconds, just give yourself 20 seconds or something. And just go from that. Another thing you can take a look at, the duration of your workout. So normally for me, a workout generally goes for an hour and 15 minutes. That's when it's just weight training, not cardio. But I've had a 20-minute session before. A friend has put me on a session that he's seen online somewhere, and it was like a 20-25 minute chest workout. And my chest by the end was absolutely destroyed. It was burning like hell. The DOMs the next day were absolutely crazy. So you don't need to always be doing a long session and pushing out those heavy weights with long rests all the time. You could just squash your session right down into 20-25 minutes, maybe half hour. Drop all the rest times, just absolutely smash the whole workout, and then afterwards you've got time for your cardio maybe as well. And this ties in with another one, the intensity of your workout. So this comes down to loads of factors. This could be your rest times, your weights you're using, so heavy or light, and the rep ranges you're using, whether you're doing drop sets and supersetting, all these different things. Consider your intensity. There's so many things that you could be doing that maybe you're not doing. Even if you're already doing drop sets and supersets and things like that, do those but with different exercises, different body parts combined together, or do it with, like I said, less rest or something like that. Just think, when you're sitting there doing the weight, you just finished a set, if your chest, say, is hurting or whatever muscle it is, think to yourself, do I feel like as exhausted, or was that really that hard as it could have been? And if it wasn't, just think, what could I do? What would I hate to do right now straight after I just did that set? If you'd hate to do squats or flies or whatever along with whatever exercise you just did, just do it and see what happens. See how exhausted you get. The type of exercises you're using. You might just be going with the standard moves that you know, like your squat or your bench press or whatever. And you're using the same ones week in, week out. Maybe you're throwing in something a little bit different now and then, like one little exercise changed, or doing your flies or whatever on an incline instead of a decline, something like that. But change it up completely. Use maybe your heavy movement, like your bench press or your dumbbell press as one of your main ones. But maybe before you do that, try a chest exercise or an isolation exercise. I keep using chest just because we'll just stick with that example. Use it like flies or something, like a chest isolation, so something that's going to purely hit your chest and not tire out your shoulders and that, before you do your dumbbell press maybe. And just absolutely burn your chest out and then go on to your dumbbell press. Chances are you're not going to be able to do the weight you normally would, but that's okay. And if you can do that weight, that's even better, because it just goes to show you weren't previously pushing yourself. Or try exercises you've never tried before. Sometimes I always find there was exercises that I'm like, I never really like this exercise, I don't get along with this exercise. And every time that I've done that, and then I've ended up doing that exercise with a friend who is more familiar with that exercise or something, and they're able to direct me. Or I just look online and find something that I've never tried before. It's amazing how different it can feel when you really hit a new exercise right, and your body's obviously not used to that. Straight away you're feeling like, whoa man, I haven't felt like this on an exercise for ages, this is killing me. So look up different exercises or different combos of exercises. And then just to finish it off, your session. It pretty much ties in all the things previously talked about and other stuff. Basically, you've probably got your own style, the things you like to do, the way you work out, the intensity level you tend to hit, and how you space out your workouts and all these different things. You've probably got your style of workout. Even if you don't realize it, you probably have. Try completely flipping that on its back. You don't necessarily have to do something completely different. If you're doing all your exercises in a certain order each week, say you're doing your heavy compound weights first and your burners at the end, flip it around completely. Start off with all your burners and finish with your heavy moves. Or put a burner at the beginning, your heavy moves in the middle, a burner at the end. Or do like a burner, a heavy, a burner, a heavy, a burner or something. Just completely switch up your workout. If you're used to thinking, I want to do heavy weights all the time, so you start off with, you know, a medium weight and you start building your way up through the sets to a heavy weight, screw it, just do your one warm-up, go straight to your heavy sets and just keep going heavy until you can't go heavy, and then start tapering off your weights at the end instead maybe. Or just scrap the heavy weights and try just going for a lighter weight, but just concentrating so much on that contraction and that burn of whatever muscle it is, and just keep going until you fail. Don't even count a rep range, don't even go for 15 or 20 reps or 12 reps, whatever. Just go until you can't go anymore. But you want it light enough that it's purely contraction. There's no secondary muscles coming in to try and help you get that exercise done. Drinking black coffee in case you're wondering. Next, let's look at the diet or your nutritional side of things. So we got diet at the top like a heading. That's why it's underlined. Boom! So here you want to consider every aspect of your diet, anything that's out of your norm, say something new that you've brought in which has made this a diet. Your calories that you never normally follow and now you're following calories. Your cheat meals, you normally eat what you want but now you're looking at cheat meals. And then also the types of food and everything. All these are the different aspects of your diet, and each one of these obviously can change. It's like practicing. You've got to practice what works best for you, what is most effective for your body. So the first thing, let's say, is the calories. Your calories is probably an obvious one, and most people will want to go to this when they're not losing enough fat. They're going to think, right, I'll drop my calories. And that's not always a good thing. Sometimes the reason you might not be burning more fat is because you're not having enough calories and your body isn't getting enough energy to support the demands you're putting on it from working out and things like that. And so it's not willing to give up that fat, it's not willing to burn that fat because it knows it's not getting enough energy and it needs this fat for energy. So it's going to try and ration this fat, if you will. So don't immediately think you've got to drop your calories. If you're constantly hurting, you know, your joints and you're constantly exhausted and things like that, that's normally a good indicator that you are too low on calories. So with your calories, if you want to drop them, the best way to do this is don't go dramatic with it. Don't be dropping like 500 calories in one go and things like that. Just drop like 200 calories and try that out for a week. And if it's still maybe not working, maybe you want to drop a little bit more. But But it's not necessarily always calories that are the problem. Right, another thing, cheat meal. This means you're either maybe not having enough of a cheat meal. You've got to have something big that's going to make your body think, whoa, we're not used to dealing with this amount of food. We've got to quick start all these processes, your metabolism. We've got to put them into overdrive. So that later on then it's going to be working on that same level, but you're only giving it normal foods, and then it's just going to be burning fat more. So some people are a bit scared to have a cheat meal because they're afraid to put on fat, but in the long term it could be a lot better for you. I find that the next day I'm looking a lot better after a cheat meal. Another thing is you're giving yourself too much of a cheat meal. Maybe you're spreading it over too much of the day, or maybe you're having too many meals in one day that are cheat meals, maybe something like that. And then something else, the last main thing on diet you want to consider is type of diet. Maybe you're just not eating the right type of diet. For me, I generally had a steady amount of carbohydrates because my body generally uses them quite well. But if your body doesn't, or you're prone to put on fat quite easily, then maybe a diet including steady carbs throughout the day isn't a good idea for you. Maybe, like now it's my last 2 weeks of diet, I've decided to cut it right back because I really want to try and utilize that fat burning potential. And so now I'm just doing carb loading. I'm doing carb loading, this one right here. So that means basically I'm going to have low carb days, and then I'm going to have a day where I carb load, where I load up on carbohydrates to give me a bit of energy to get through the next couple of days where I'm not going to have any carbs again. So for me, what I'm going to do is 2 days off carbs and then 1 day on carbs, and I'm going to keep alternating that as I go through now the next 2 weeks. And the benefits to that are the carb load day. Kind of think of it as your cheat day. So you're not going to load up on bad carbs, you're going to load up on good carbohydrates, and you're going to keep your fat low, so there's no potential of fat being stored, because obviously you're going to have more than enough energy through all the carbs. And then by having all those carbs, your body's going to have to quickly work in overtime again, because for the last 2 days it hasn't had to deal with carbs at all, and it's kind of gone into a fat burning state, but eventually then it's going to get used to it and even out, and you're just going to be starving. So then you just have those carbs to quickly get your body thinking, oh shit, we got carbs again, let's use that for energy. And then the next day when you got no carbs again, it's going to be thinking, where the hell are the carbs? Quick, let's use some fat. And that's the whole idea with carb loading. The other one then is keto. Maybe if the carbs don't work for you, you want to go on a keto diet, which basically is a high fat and protein diet and no carbohydrates. The idea is you literally want to keep those carbohydrates to nothing if you can, apart from what you're going to get through vegetables and stuff. And by doing this, you're constantly in that state of your body is using fat as energy. And eventually a lot of people just live on a lifestyle like this. And keto diet is apparently meant to be really great for you for other diseases and health benefits and stuff like that as well. It's worth looking into. Then IF, the intermittent fasting, you probably know by now. Obviously I've tried that quite a bit in the past. I really like it, but I think for me, for muscle building as well, it's better for me to spread my meals out through the day. And then if it fits your macros, kind of ties into the intermittent fasting where you've got your macros set out, you know what proteins, calories, carbs and fats you're going to be having. And this one basically, you eat all day long, but you use those macros however you want. So if you want to get your fats or your carbs or your protein or your calories from a tub of Ben & Jerry's or ice cream or going out for some pizza or whatever, you can do that as long as you keep on top of your calorie count and you don't go over for the day as a whole. And a lot of people choose to do this and they do eat some good looking foods, but again, I kind of don't fancy that, because I'd rather eat foods like, I know a piece of chicken is bound to be better for me, for my muscles and building potential, than, you know, a bit of crappy meat that might come in some burger that I can buy in the shop or something like that, you know? It just seems obvious, surely. Maybe protein is protein, or maybe not all proteins are the same, you know? So it's up to you if you want to try that one, and a lot of people can incorporate that one into that one as well. So, and one final thing that probably needs a mention is your mental state. So maybe the type of diet you're on, it doesn't fit your lifestyle. Maybe, for me personally, like these short diets, like I'm on an 8-week diet now. In the past I've been like, oh, I'm going to do a 12-week diet, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I do those diets, but in all honesty, my whole heart isn't in them, because they help give me direction and things like this, but I don't want to live my life like that. I don't want to live my life on a small window of dieting where it's all or nothing because you've given yourself such a short amount of time. You have to be fully committed the whole time. And there's nothing wrong with being committed, and I'd love to be committed, but I also want to have a life, and I enjoy, like I said, bad foods and stuff. Not that I want to eat bad food all the time, I just, when I fancy something, or you've had a certain day, you might have had a crap day, or you're going out to meet people, or you decide to just chill in and watch a movie, or go to the cinema, and you want to enjoy a hot dog, or you want to have a takeaway pizza, or maybe you just fancy a cake with your coffee, I don't know. I want to be able to do that, and I know that if I maintain an overall good week, a good day of healthy eating, I can afford to have this little thing here and there. If I don't have any sort of structure, then I'll just end up eating what I want when I want. But by having a diet structured out for me, I don't mind having this little bad thing every now and then. But obviously when I stick myself on like 8 or 12 week diets, you can't really afford to do that, and that's when it can get a bit disheartening, because then when you do have a little slip up or a cheat, or like it was May's birthday the other day, so I had some food for that and stuff, I had a couple of, you know, bad meals and things like this, it can make you feel quite bad and disappointed in yourself, when really you shouldn't, because that's normal life, that's real life, that's what we're here to do, and live that. So you shouldn't be too hard on yourself. So if you want to try the 12-week diets, and they can work if you're willing to commit yourself, and there's nothing wrong with them, but for me, they're not the perfect thing. So from here now, after this 8-week diet, I'm just going to try and maintain this dieting lifestyle, and I'll have the little things here and there when I want them. Another thing, the lifestyle you live, what you do, what your job is, dieting doesn't always fit in with that. So if you can just create a healthy lifestyle instead, and eat good as often as you can, don't worry about all the fats and macros, am I having too many carbs and fats, whatever. Eat good, eat as healthy as you can, and have the little thing here and there. It's gonna work. It's gonna work for you over time. It just won't be as fast. But if you just decide, I can't do this at all, and give up and go back to an old lifestyle where you're just eating whatever, whenever, then you're never gonna get there. And another thing I find really helps with dieting is, when I'm on a diet and I'm thinking about it all day, I know I've got to eat this later, or I'm not looking forward to eating this, that kind of bums me out, because it makes the diet feel like it's going on forever. So like after 2 days of diets, I'm already thinking, man, that's the longest 2 days ever, I wish I could fast forward 4 weeks and whatnot. So the best thing I found for this is, if you're keeping yourself busy and you've got a lifestyle, or you've got a life, or you've got friends to see, or you've got other things you want to do, other priorities, a job, or work you want to put in to whatever, I always find it's best to plan out your diet, structure it completely, know exactly what you're doing with your diet, get it all sorted, prep all your food, and then forget about it. Just put it to the back. So instead of thinking, I gotta eat this food later, oh no, I can't have a donut, even though you might not have right then, you're just thinking of things that you now can't have, forget about it. Just get on with your day, be productive, do whatever you want to do, and then set a timer on your phone. When the timer goes off, it's time to pick up a meal and eat it. Eat your meal, watch something if you have to, watch a TV show to take your mind off the eating of it. If you don't enjoy the taste, get it done, get it out the way, and get back on with your day. Don't keep thinking I'm on a diet, just forget that and get on with it. And the diet can come second in your lifestyle, but still stick to it. And I find that works really well for me. And then another thing, lastly, is so many people say, you know, oh, I'm doing everything, I just can't burn fat, or I just can't do this. And truthfully, are you doing everything? Everything I've mentioned already now, every aspect of your training and your workout and your diet and the types of foods and everything, have you tried varying all these different possible variables? And if you haven't, you obviously haven't done everything, and you haven't done enough. A lot of people just straight away just presume it doesn't work for them, so it's okay for them to give up. But it is okay for them to give up, but don't be fooling yourself into thinking that you've tried. Alright, you failed. Bottom line, you failed. And if that's okay with you, that's fine. That's fine with everybody, because no one cares what you do. But if you really want something, and you want to burn this fat, and you want to get the body you want, you've got to try everything, and you've got to work for it. You can't just give up and make excuses for it. And also I find that this comes down to how educated are you on what you're trying to do. And then so many people are saying, I just can't lose fat, you know, I've tried everything. But you've tried everything based on that. Everything is based on the knowledge you have. But if you haven't bothered educating yourself and looking up, what can I do to change this, what can I do to lose fat, then you'll know. Then you'll know if it works or not. Unless you've tried everything, you haven't tried everything. So on that note, that is me done for another week. I'm not going to show you progress now. I'm going to save that now until the end, because I'm going to have a crazy 2 weeks and I want to go BOOM! And surprise the fucking socks off you. I'm not going to have any more cheats now. And it's going to be a fire 2 weeks. But there'll be another video next week, just as boring as this one. See you later!